You're watching Meet the Movie Press, and coming up, we're going to be talking about Deadpool 2, Solo, Steven Spielberg, Leonardo DiCaprio, so much more. Do stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Oh, get those lights pumping. Get that party thumping. Wow.
Duplo.
Good morning,
Hey,
Simon.
how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good. Busy week, man. Tired.
Yeah. You'll have
Yeah.
to tell us all about it
I'm
after I
looking forward to a
introduce
quiet Friday
myself.
night. Who are you, Jeff?
Jeff Snider here. Freelance writer for hire at the Snider on
Gigolo.
Twitter and Instagram. And with me, as always,
Simon Thompson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sherbet Simon. My work is kind of everywhere right now, which is good. How are you? How's your week been?
good, man. Should we
Good.
talk about the movies that we saw? I had a double header on Monday.
Oh, wow. Did you see any films?
I saw Deadpool 2
Oh, okay.
and Solo, and neither one really went the way that I thought that they were going to.
Oh. Okay, let's talk about it.
So Simon, what did you think about these movies?
Do you want to start with DP, or do you want to start with
I'd actually... Okay, let's start...
SASWS?
Let's start with Deadpool 2.
Okay, as you know, I really like the first movie. I was genuinely...
Let's try to keep spoilers to a minimum.
We'll keep spoilers to a minimum.
Unlike the rest of the fucking internet.
Well, before I talk about the movie, I've already seen so many articles going, here are the cameos from Deadpool 2 that you've missed. It only came out last night.
It's embarrassing.
Just don't do that. I mean, obviously people can not click on these links, but still, it's kind of a dick move. I really like Deadpool. Deadpool 2, I was a little bit... worried about, because it's always difficult to capture the magic of that first film. Deadpool, we didn't kind of know what was going to hit us. It was very raw. It was very rude. It kind of, really delivered. And I was like, well, how are you going to top that? Now, a lot of people came out of screenings. They saw it a couple of days before me, and they were like, oh my God, it's better than the first one. Did I think it was better than the first one? No. Did I think it was as good as the first one? Yeah. I think so. I want to see it again. I saw the first one a couple of times. I just want to see this one again. It is ruder. It is grosser, and I think it overplays that a little bit. It is slightly smug in its own success and kind of knows it's really funny and really rude and revels in that. But I enjoyed what they're reveling in. I cannot deny. I like the fact that it was harder. I like the fact that it was filthier and just generally a little bit more offensive. I really liked it, though. I liked a lot of the characters they added in. I thought they were really good. Some of the cameo pun stuff I wasn't a big fan of. I thought that was kind of below the movie, but... overall, really enjoyed it. Some of the dialogue in that movie was so funny. I took my wife. She doesn't like this kind of movie. She actually really enjoyed it too. So
Listen,
don't take the kids, though.
I certainly had
Seriously.
some laughs. I'm not going to sit there and
Okay.
say I was stone-faced. There is some clever stuff in this movie for sure. But the idea of seeing this movie a second time would make my skin crawl. I thought it was terrible.
Oh, that's harsh.
I
wouldn't say it was terrible. Even if you didn't like it, I wouldn't say it was
I said it
terrible.
was capital B bad. I did not get into the movie at all at any point. Everything just seemed like a joke. First, I don't even understand Deadpool. Like, what are the rules of Deadpool? Is he invincible?
He's pretty invincible.
Right, so there's no way to kill this guy. So then there's no stakes. There's no threat. There was no general threat to begin with. They're trying to stop the kid. We've seen enough trailers by now. Mm-hmm. Julian.
Yeah, this is the synopsis. I know that,
From trying to kill a guy who he said abused it, which is so vague. Why does this require building an X-Force? What is the point of this entire fucking movie? I thought it was bad. I thought it was lazy. And here's something else. I thought it exposed David Leitch. I think that if I'm Dwayne Johnson, I'm really trying to get that Hobbs script in place, because David Leitch doesn't seem to be able to elevate a story. Atomic Blonde is not a good movie. Anyone who sits there and tells me that it is insane. It has some great action, but there's no... how could you be satisfied by a movie like Atomic Blonde? And I felt it double that in this movie, Deadpool 2.
You see, for me, I kind of understand that second point. I disagree with the fact that you thought, that you felt it was terrible. I did not think this was a terrible movie. I really enjoyed it. Film Nerd Jamie is saying in the chat, Deadpool 2 looks like classic sequelitis, more of the same but bigger. And yeah, that is true. But I think
it's not original this time. It's not unique.
It's not, but it does up the ante. So they haven't done what some other sequels have done, and that's kind of lazily retread and just change a few things, but basically be more of the same. They have upped the stakes on this. I agree. The plot is not. There are parts of it that really could be furnished, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are not going to see Deadpool 2 for plot. They're going for dick jokes and ass kickings.
Well, then they're going to get exactly what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
Like like they have like the chanting music where it's like, holy shit balls, holy fuck balls. If you think that that's a funny joke, you'll like this movie. To me, it was for 13-year-old boys, and I could not get into it whatsoever. I go to the movies not for dick jokes and to hear the word fuck a zillion times and see people getting shot in the head a million times. I love all that. Don't get me wrong. But that's not why I go to the movies. I go to the movies for something so simple. It's one word. It's called a story. And this movie had no story.
And generally, I agree with that, but sometimes I just want dick jokes and an ass kicking. Sometimes you want to go out and you have a nice steak, and sometimes you just want to get a Mackie D's.
I hear you.
And this is the Mackie D of movies.
We will have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It was not quite Suicide Squad, Batman vs Superman level bad.
Considerably better than those
But it
movies.
was like one step up, really. It was... To say it was a disappointment, I think, would be an understatement. I feel lazy.
But Deadpool 2 and Deadpool don't pretend to be other than anything than what they are, which I give them credit for, and that is exactly what you're buying into, and that's exactly what you're going to get. If you're going in there looking for something that's more complex, more rich, and more nuanced, that is not the movie you're going to get.
I don't think a story is too much to ask for. Some kind of like a plot. I mean, this was
I agree. The plot could have been better, and there are elements of the plot that could have been played out better. I agree with you on that.
Actually, what you said, I agreed with one of the points that you had about this movie. Feels like it thinks it's so smart.
It does.
And it is so smug, and I just wanted to punch this movie in the face, and maybe that is Deadpool, like the kind of hero you want to punch in the face. I get that is the tone of the comic.
Yep.
But I just found it obnoxious, and it was exhausting.
There are moments to me where it almost crossed over, and I was like, rein it in a little bit. You're being a little bit cocky. It's a live-action
cartoon.
Yeah, it is.
It felt like, like, why does something like this work and something like Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen doesn't work? I'm just fascinated, and I hope that I think that Hollywood's going to take the wrong lessons from this movie. I worry that something like Cowboy Ninja Viking will try to take on this irreverent Deadpool-esque tone, and that'll be like Chris Pratt's new. I don't know. I'm worried.
For me, this was, I wanted more of the same. And it's exactly what I got, but they upped the ante in the action, stuff like that. It did mean that, unfortunately, some other areas, like the story, weren't serviced as well. But I went in there wanting something, and I came out with whatever I wanted delivered to me. Now, can I just say, the first Deadpool, I was amazed when people took their kids to see this. I strongly advise you.
This is not a kids' movie at all.
Do not take your kids to see this movie.
That would be terrible.
Seriously, this is... There are points, and Jesus Christ, I can be very broad-minded in my comedy, and certainly my use of language, and I find foul language to be particularly hilarious when done well.
Don't bring kids.
It is not a movie that kids should see.
So a couple other things, though, about this movie. Are you, like, don't you think it would have been better if Tim Miller had directed this?
Ideally, I would have liked to have seen him pick up the mantle again.
Yeah, I would. Creative differences, and clearly this was the direction that Ryan Reynolds, he won out in that power battle, I suppose. This is the direction that Ryan Reynolds wanted to take it. I really wonder what Tim Miller's take was going to be for the sequel.
I think it would have been more refined. I think it would have been more in line with what you would have been looking for from this movie.
I think so, too.
And I think they kind of tore the Band-Aid off on this, and I think that's kind of...
I will say, I mean, these marketers at Fox deserve some kind of an award, an Oscar, a Clio. I don't know what it is. Their campaign has been brilliant. I wish that the movie was as inspired and as creative as Fox's marketing campaign. Did you see the Walmart art DVD covers that have been changed.
I did. I thought that was genius.
Genius.
Yeah.
I mean, they really did a bang-up job on this, and I hope that they get the big opening that they're looking for. I cannot go along with the consensus on this. This was not a movie I enjoyed really at all. Yeah. That's it.
No, it's a shame. I mean, it delivered what I wanted, basically.
The other thing about this
Flawed,
is like,
but I really enjoyed
Fox screens it the week of opening, right?
Yeah.
4 days before it opens, or really three and a half days.
Yeah.
They are not shy about screening movies.
No.
I think like War of the Planet of the Apes, like those Apes movies screen like 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
They're not shy about getting movies out there when they really think that they've got the goods. And to me, it's just interesting that they held this till the week of opening. Sorry, I was momentarily stunned by a Variety story about Bradley Cooper is joining Clint Eastwood in The Mule.
Yeah, people are just talking about that.
Definitely looked into when I was at the tracking board.
Someone's brought up the post-credit sequence. I have to say, there is no... The screening that I saw, unless they've changed it for theatrical, there was nothing right at the very end. And this is not a spoiler. There is something at the beginning of the credits, and there's something a little bit further into the credits. They are worth staying for. They are genuinely... The second one is a genuinely very funny set of sequences.
Yes, I would be lying if I didn't say I enjoyed those sequences.
Yeah,
although
good.
I was waiting for one at the very end, and there isn't one.
There isn't. Well, there wasn't one in our screenings.
Right,
I don't know if they
exactly.
changed that for theatrical.
I don't know.
But I mean, definitely, I think that for me, for end of credit sequences or in credit sequences, that's up there with the likes of, say, 22 Jump Street, that kind of level of like, oh, that's quite genius. So credit to everybody involved in that.
March 29th, email to Bradley Cooper's people. I'm told that Bradley Cooper is in talks to join Clint Eastwood in The Mule. That'll be an American Sniper reunion. And then the answer
Hopefully
I got,
they're bringing back the baby from
the
American
answer I got
Sniper.
was neither of these are accurate. Thanks for checking in. Cut to 2 months later. I also heard then, if we're talking about Bradley, that he's in talks to direct and star in this movie American Wolf, but that was denied. So we'll see.
So next
American
week it'll be
Sniper,
announced.
American Wolf is American everything. And I'm also looking at an email that says I have the American series finale. I don't watch the American, so it doesn't really matter to me. But like, this is like a hot commodity out there in TV world. Do you watch the Americans?
No, I watched like half the first season, then I was like,
wait, let's stick with Bradley.
but I'll be
Cooper.
honest with you, the Americans is kind of like currently America.
I know, really. Let's
Life imitating art.
Let's stick with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
He landed a fucking knockout blow.
Okay, yeah.
A fucking knockout blow this week with that Bernstein shit. He got the life rights and the music of Leonard Bernstein.
Excellent.
Leaving Jake Gyllenhaal's movie kind of in the dust. Jake's movie is going to come out first, it sounds like. It's going to supposed to shoot anyways, this fall with Cary Fukunaga. But, now Cooper has the goods.
Well, this is kind of like we had a couple of years ago, the Capote movies, where they were like fucking buses. You'd wait for one Capote movie and then like 3 came out at the same time.
Well,
2 or 3.
yeah, I guess so.
But obviously he wasn't a musician.
I thought Infamous waited a while until after, Hoffman won his Oscar, but maybe you're right. Maybe
Yeah, it was quite, but certainly for decades we hadn't had a Capote movie, and then all of a sudden it's like, within 12 months, it was like Capote 2. Back to the
I
Capote.
just thought that was like, a stealth move. Bradley
Yeah.
Cooper and Steven Spielberg beating out Jake and Carey. It's too bad.
Harris in the chat is saying, take a shot every time Simon mentions Zeno Hour.
Zeno Hour
Zeno Hour in the chat is constantly chatting and giving us stuff. So I'll tell you what, Harris, if you up the game, every time I mention Zeno Hour, I'll take a shot. Every time that you tweet something that's very useful, I'll take a pint.
Yeah. All right, should we talk about Solo then?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Obviously we should keep this.
It's good to be supporting so much indie filmmaking this week. And can I just say, I know I look very short compared to Jeff this week. I haven't actually shrunk. It's just the camera's at the wrong height in here.
Right, so
I had to lower my chair.
He's at the kids' table.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So with Solo, that is not out yet. That's not out for another week.
Yeah.
So we'll tread lightly there.
We will tread
no
lightly.
one has had the chance to see that, really.
Yeah. Apart from a few.
And it was so funny because, when I was on my way to the screening and my friend beat me there, and it was like, maybe, what time was it? 7 o'clock screening, so it's 6:20. He's like, dude, there's a huge line here. We're never getting in. Like, there's hundreds of people. And I'm like, do you think that they're showing Solo to the general public right now? Like, they would never do that because obviously the general public can't be trusted with spoilers.
No.
So,
General public generally can't be trusted with anything.
that was the line for book club.
Yeah.
Solo.
That would have been so funny
Right.
if you'd have been in that line and gone, how is this canon? How is this canon? Is that the Wookiee? No, that's Candice Bergen.
Right.
Awkward.
Mary Steenburgen is Ray's mom.
Yeah, it's Lando.
All right, Solo. What did you think?
I really liked Solo. I'll be honest with you. It was a movie that and actually my response after going to the premiere last week made Variety, and it made USA Today and a number of others, along with a number of other critics and journalists who were there. It was a film that I was really worried about. I had friends that worked on Solo, and they basically kind of led me to believe it was a bit of a shit show. Obviously, that was before Ron Howard came on. Ron Howard reshot like 70% of the movie, so what we're seeing is considerably different to what we'd have heard about previously. I really liked it. I didn't think it was a movie that I wasn't particularly interested in. We've discussed this on the show previously. I wasn't getting a lot of buzz from the general public on it, outside of people who love Star Wars and people who are into movies. And so I was really interested to see what the response would be. It was a movie that kind of didn't really do a lot. It doesn't really have a purpose. It kind of sets out part of the story, so it has elements of it that needs to be there to add to the story, but the rest of it was pretty much as far as the movie goes. It was quite freestyle. It really had a lot of room to play with and introduce characters. It was a good fun ride. I really enjoyed the movie. It was, I don't like to use the word fun, but it was just fun and entertaining. I think that if you'd never seen a Star Wars movie before and you didn't know who Chewie was or Han Solo was or anything else about the Star Wars galaxy, you could watch this movie and the same as Rogue One and really enjoy it. I liked Alden as Han Solo.
I liked him too.
I thought he was good. I was umming and ahhing about, because obviously it was him and Ansel Elgort were both kind of front runners for that role, and I was trying to imagine Ansel in it. It would have been a very different Han Solo, but I really liked Alden in it, and it left me at the end of it going, do you know what, if they did do a couple more Solo movies, I would genuinely be up for that. I really enjoyed Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. I thought he played that role fantastically. A lot of the supporting cast were great. The action was great. The story was quite basic but enjoyable. It's kind of a movie that I wasn't expecting a lot from. It served exactly what I was expecting, but it did up the game. I left genuinely satisfied. And that wasn't because I was invited to the premiere or the party afterwards. I looked at it purely as a film.
Way to remind everybody.
No, but sometimes you get the criticism. It's like, I've seen this a lot online recently, especially when you come out and your stuff gets featured on like Variety as your reaction. It's like, it's only because you went to the premiere. And I'm like, no, I always look at every single movie as a movie, whether I'm watching it at home in my pants or in a movie theatre or at a premiere. It doesn't matter. The film is the same film. So just saying.
Well, I saw it at the regular old press screening. And
it wasn't exactly a regular old press screening. It was a nice press screening, right? It was in a nice movie theatre. It's not like they sent you to studs in Hollywood to watch it.
It was at the ArcLight.
Oh, okay.
Anyways.
I thought it was on the lot at Disney.
No. I'm not that cool anymore. I liked it. For a movie that we'd heard was such a mess and such a disaster, I thought, you could not even tell that it was a movie that had been, reshot, or 70% of it had been reshot.
No.
That's why Ron Howard is a pro. Sure, you can say what you want about his last few movies, which have not been terribly good, particularly, those Tom Hanks, Robert Langdon movies, which were just more disappointing than anything because the source material was
disappointing and not
good.
Lucrative.
Anyways, I thought Ron Howard was the right guy for this job, clearly. Alden I liked. Amelia Clarke still didn't really do anything for me. They didn't really
She was fine.
She was fine, but that's not good enough in a Star Wars movie. She's forgettable. I'm not a fan of her as an actress. I'll just say that right now. I don't watch Game of Thrones. Obviously, I don't see her signature turn, but the movies that she does just don't work for me. She doesn't work for me in them. They just didn't have any chemistry, I thought. When Donald Glover and the droid L3 have more chemistry than Han Solo and what's her name, Kira?
Yeah.
No, didn't do it. The villain, yeah, I thought Bettany was fine. I wish that he'd been fleshed out a little bit more. I wish he'd been introduced a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
You know, that was a problem. I liked the action sequences. I liked the train heist. Train
heist I thought was genius.
I'm obviously, you guys know I'm not a Star Wars person.
Yeah.
And I guess what I liked about this is that it wasn't obsessed with the Force and the Empire and all that kind of stuff. You know, it was a simple kind of basic tale, and maybe it didn't need to be told.
Yeah.
But I don't know all like the little winking Star Wars nods and stuff, so it just worked for me on a regular movie level.
Yeah.
Like it was coherent, it had pace, you know, etc. It dragged a little in the middle, I thought.
You see, for me, it took a little bit of while to get going. There's a sequence at the beginning of the
Right,
movie that
'cause
kind
it's
of
setting
sets
up
it
the
up, but then
romance.
doesn't really get, you know, it's not. It didn't really kind of work for me, and there's an action sequence straight after that. Where I'm kind of like, after then, for me, the movie really kicks in.
I like the music.
Oh, the music was great.
Yeah.
I really like the music.
I love Chewbacca.
Yeah.
I thought Chewbacca was wonderful. And Donald was good as Lando. I don't know that I need a spin-off. I mean, what do you think of all those rumors this week?
I mean, yeah, Lucasfilm, I mean, we can talk about that. Lucasfilm was saying that, you know, they'd be open to a Lando Calrissian spin-off, and, you know, I'd be open to that, but
Sure,
I actually...
they would be open to it.
I don't know. It kind of depends on how popular he proves in sort of, you know, the research after this movie is released. But I mean, I'd be open to that. I enjoy having Lando as a ancillary character, as a level B character.
Yeah, I don't know that we need
I don't know if we need a Lando movie.
We do not.
I don't know if there's that much. I mean, if they can find a
answer
way
to
that
that
they
is
could
we
build
do
it into a
not.
nice story. But having said that, I also didn't think we needed a Han Solo story. So. You know, I've actually really enjoyed this.
It's not even a matter of need anymore. It's just a matter of
wanting.
what they can sell tickets to, which is why, you know, you may end up seeing that Obi-Wan movie.
Yeah.
With Ewan. I don't know. I haven't heard anything, but yeah, the daldry of it all is interesting. I wonder if that attachment is going to stick, which would be another blow as far as Lucasfilm and directors go. My goodness.
But no, Solo, I genuinely really enjoyed it, and people tended to be coming out. They were coming out of the premiere very, you know, surprised, and you know, not everybody is going to like the movie. I understand that, and I'm sure people will pick holes in it. But I mean, I found it very satisfying.
There's no
overall.
post-credit sequence, just to be clear. Not that there ever is, right, with Star
in a
Wars,
Star Wars
but
movie?
I don't know. I sat through the credits anyways, and it was long, and there was no payoff. Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of like this show.
I think I think that the movie's going to do quite well.
Yeah, I think it'll do very well. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I kind of scoffed at the fact that they thought it was going to be the biggest opening weekend, biggest Memorial Day weekend opening. I kind of scoffed at that. I take that back. I think it's going to do very well, and I think word of mouth will be quite strong.
Where does it fall for you among like the new films?
I actually did my among the new ones.
No, just the new one. Yeah, like 7, 8, Rogue One.
Okay, 7, 8, Rogue One. Okay, it's Rogue One is top, I think, followed by this, followed by Jedi, followed by Awakens.
Okay, interesting. All right.
And I'll justify Jedi being above Awakens because Jedi was something new, and Awakens I did feel like I'd seen that before with A New Hope, so that's why. But there you go. Not that I have to justify myself.
And like, you know, please don't read anything about like the cameo in this.
Don't.
I'm so like not a Star Wars guy. I kind of just looked at my friend and shrugged my shoulders. Like, you know, it meant nothing to me. But people seem to be enjoying it.
Yeah. I didn't know that was happening, and when I was like, oh.
All right, let's move on
Okay,
from our amateur armchair criticisms.
Yeah.
What do you want to start with, big guy?
Okay, let's talk about... we were talking about tracking on Solo. Let's talk about Ocean's 8 tracking. You commented on this online. You had 2 emails, one after the other, with very different figures. We're seeing 2 figures banded around at the moment.
Yeah.
Ocean's 8 is apparently tracking somewhere, depending on where you read it, between 30 million and 45 million for its opening weekend. A figure that some people are calling great. To be honest with you, considering how people tended to be or seemed to be very excited about this movie, I thought that it would come in 50 to 60 as an opening weekend. To me, 30 to 45 seems a little bit low.
I think you are correct.
Okay, so it's not just me. Okay, fine, good.
Here's the thing. I don't think that the campaign has been good. I don't even know who the Ocean's 8 are in the sense that, like, is Hathaway the villain, or Hathaway's like the person that they're robbing? She's the mark?
I believe so.
Like, I thought that for the longest time, the Hathaway was part of the team, and that it's just, I don't even know. It's confusing.
But I'm sure there's a twist in there somewhere. You know?
Like this, I am like the target audience for this. I know that they made this movie for women and everything, but like I am pumped for Ocean's 8. I love the Ocean's movies. I love heist movies, team ensemble movies, that kind of shit. I can't get a hold of like what are the good jokes? What are the good gags in the trailer? Like, it's just like women are robbing the Met Ball, and that's all that they have. I don't. There's nothing to hook into. What is you need that marketing hook, and just having a bunch of famous women in your movie, I don't think is it. Again, what does it come down to? Fucking story. It comes down to writing. Well, and I'm very curious to see how this movie turns out. That's low.
I enjoyed the original, not the original, the remake, the George Clooney Ocean's movies.
Yeah.
I enjoyed those. I thought they was great, but I was very open to the idea of an all-female one. I thought it was a good idea. I'll be honest with you, since even with the cast assembling and it moving forward and having seen the trailers, I'm pretty unexcited about this movie.
Here's where, check out, these are the openings for the Ocean's movies. Though.
Yeah.
Ocean's 11, 38 million. Ocean's 12, 39 million.
Yeah.
Ocean's 13, 36 million. So literally between 36 and 39 million, and that's with Brad Pitt, George Clooney, etc.
Yeah.
So, 30 to 45 is a win for this franchise. It's just a matter of, what does a $39 million or $38 million Ocean's 11 opening translate to in 2018?
I mean, I just thought that the tracking would be higher for this.
I thought so. I
genuinely thought it was going to be 50
Wonder
plus.
Woman, what did Wonder Woman open to? Like, God damn it. Let me see. Wonder Woman opened to 103.
Yeah.
You'd think that this movie could open to half that.
Yeah, easily.
To 50. I don't know. We'll see. And maybe tracking will pick up after these big blockbusters. This is early.
I mean, it's also
still early.
It's also opening in a space in the calendar this year where there isn't going to be a huge amount of competition. They've got a couple of weeks around it.
Here's where I think that they're miscalculating.
But also, then if you look at potential drop off on weeks 2 and 3, it might. I mean, it wasn't a cheap movie to make, so it might not be a hugely, by the end of its run, hugely profitable. It has to be pretty good, I think, for word of mouth to be strong on this movie to really give it some momentum.
So here's the thing.
It's not going to be a flop.
Ocean 8 is going to have 1 week at the box office.
Yeah.
Because after that, it's Incredibles 2 and Jurassic World. I think in the end, you're going to see Hereditary really fuck this movie.
Really?
Yes. Hereditary. So this is the kind of shit that the industry should be writing about.
I'm interested to hear your take on this because I don't know.
Women go see horror movies.
Yeah.
Particularly female-driven horror movies, which Hereditary is with a brilliant Toni Collette performance. It also has the reviews on its side. And a pretty good marketing campaign, too. Like, next to Deadpool 2, I think that the Hereditary campaign is the best I've seen this year. Women go see horror movies, and that is going to take away women from Ocean's 8. A Hereditary is going to open. You watch.
Interesting.
Have you seen it yet?
I haven't. I'm seeing it next week or week after.
Yeah, ask for those screenings. I know that Beatrice and Matt Donnelly saw it last night, I think. My friends over at The Wrap. So they're definitely starting to screen that, Simon. Get in there.
Yeah, no,
I'm very curious to hear what you think. But yeah, that is my reasoning. That's why I should be getting paid the big bucks to consult on these studios. I think that Warner Brothers thinks it has just a great date. And I bet little guy A24 Hereditary is going to take a bite out of that opening.
When am I going to go and see this?
I wouldn't be surprised if Hotel Artemis did some business with, not because of Jodie Foster, but because of Sterling K. Brown.
I'm genuinely looking forward to Hotel Artemis.
So
the premiere is in town this weekend.
It's like, because it has, people are just saying it's basically a movie about the hotel and John Wick.
Yeah.
That is sort of what it feels like. And
Jodie Foster,
man, if you
Dave
get
Bautista.
John Wick action fans go see that first instead of Ocean's 8, man, I think Warner Brothers has a problem.
We've got there was someone in the chat. There was actually Chelsea Lewis saying, She thinks that Ocean's 8 will gain momentum at the box office depending on word of mouth. I think this is obviously quite a vague thing, but I kind of disagree with that because I think unless it's really, really good, I don't know if I think word of mouth could count badly for this movie.
Yeah,
But having said
we'll
that,
see.
there are a lot of female-focused movies, and we can't deny this is generally a female-focused movie, that even when people know it's shit, if it's shit, then they will still go and see it. Sex and the City movies are good examples of that.
But Sex and the City movies, look at that too. Obviously, that's based on a big brand.
The
as
reviews
Ocean's
for that
8
were
is too.
brutal.
But that's Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall. This is Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanchett. These are Oscar winners. They're great actresses.
True.
Maybe it will have the reviews on its side.
But also, I think there are a lot of female-focused movies that people don't feel are good enough, and they aren't doing well. I mean, a lot of the Amy Schumer movies that have come out in the last couple of years, I mean, those are strongly aimed at the female market, and if they feel the movie isn't good enough, they aren't putting their money
right. Obviously,
where
it
their
comes
mouth
down,
is. So
it
it's
comes
not
down to quality.
It's not the market that was...
Ghostbusters didn't do well. That's
it's
a quality issue.
It's not the easy market that perhaps it was 5 or 8 years ago, because a lot of women now are going, actually, I'm not just going to settle for anything. I'm a woman and I want you to make a good movie aimed at women. I won't just watch any old shit because it's got women
Here's
in
another potential thorn.
it. Okay.
What do you think about this Shailene Woodley movie, Adrift?
Another one I've been invited to. I don't know. I cannot decide on that.
I think I'm going to see it when I'm back in Boston.
Okay.
I think it looks great. I think it's a great story, and I don't know how big the opening is going to be from STX, although it doesn't have much competition.
Yeah.
Besides the second weekend of Solo, I wonder if that movie in its second weekend will actually show some strength because of word of mouth. If it's good.
For me, it feels like it's a movie that's kind of open around the place, The Shallows, because it's got a star that is around.
Oh no, this is nothing like The Shallows.
No, I know, but I think it could open around that kind of sort of mid-table top 10 kind of thing. And then, as you say, if the word of mouth is good, it could, have that longevity. But what's it opening against? Just out of interest.
The Johnny Knoxville movie, Action Point.
Okay.
And Upgrade.
I'm interested to see.
The Blumhouse movie.
Which I'm
Upgrade,
seeing next week.
Which I liked.
Yeah.
That Upgrade's good. And American Animals, which is very good.
Okay.
But again, no real stars for American Animals, and it's the Orchard.
Yeah.
We'll see how that opens. But that's actually a really good movie that deserves your attention. All right.
Okay, let's move on. The new Clue movie.
The new Clue movie. There is no new Clue movie.
Well, apparently, if it happens, according to the screenwriters, it could be R-rated. Now, I love Clue. Clue is one of my favourite comedies of all time. It's a genius movie that, thankfully, people have grown to love over the years because it was not a box office success. If you haven't seen Clue, you should watch Clue. I don't want an R-rated version of that, and I love R-rated movies when they're done well. I don't think we need the Clue movie at all. And like you, I don't know if it'll actually get made, but...
Clue may be my favorite board game. I'm totally down for a new Clue movie. I have no allegiance to the original Clue.
Get out.
I know. That's bad.
It's like I don't know who you are anymore.
Listen, I thought you were crazy last week with Wayne's World 2, and everyone I've talked to, by the way, in the week between our shows said you're completely in the wrong on Wayne's World 2.
No, I'm not.
But I will say that I'm definitely in the minority on Clue. It does nothing for me. So I'm down for a remake, and I don't mind an R-rated thing like a game night. I think that may be actually the way to go.
Agree with you on that, but this is not game
mystery.
night. This is...
So you think it should be like what? Like a night at the museum type, like big family
Yeah,
movie?
and I'm happy for it to go a little bit harder, but I don't know if I want R-rated
It's a murder
harder.
mystery game, though. Like, I don't know. That's kind of R-rated in itself. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm happy to be proved wrong. I mean, obviously, we say, let's use Logan as an example. It's obviously a completely different type of movie, but, that originally started out as family-friendly or certainly family-accessible movie character, and then, obviously, to do his own R-rated movie, which was superb.
I'm with you that there needs to be a family-friendly mystery movie. Because, like Spielberg, and we're going to talk about him. Let's talk about him right now, actually.
Cool.
Spielberg was developing that project, The 39 Clues.
Yeah.
That sounded really interesting, and like it could have been a franchise. And I wonder if someone will end up going back to that IP. Because that actually really sounded promising.
Now, let's talk about R-rated comedies for a second, because there was a trailer that dropped this morning, and people have been asking, are you going to talk about this? And I'm like, yeah, definitely. Happy Time Murders. Did you see the Red Band trailer that dropped this morning?
Dude, by 8:09, I had seen a puppet ejaculate.
But had you seen the Happy
I-
Time Murders trailer?
I thought it was hilarious. I didn't go to the SDX presentation at CinemaCon, so I missed this. Everybody was talking about it. I thought it looked great.
Yeah.
And I went to go see Melissa McCarthy's Life of the Party yesterday, so I'm a big fan of hers.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that she looks great in this.
This looks hilarious. I genuinely cannot wait. I mean, we talked about this movie so many times on the show, and I've spoken to Brian about it constantly over the last couple of years. And this looks filthy.
Dude, I'm so glad it's her. This was going to be Jamie Foxx forever.
This is way better.
What
with
an
her in it.
upgrade to Melissa McCarthy.
I just hope all the really
due respect.
great, filthy jokes are not in the trailer, but it certainly moistened my appetite for this. Moistened my appetite.
Christ.
It's more than wet.
Yeah, Happy Time Murders, dude. Thumbs up. Everybody check out that trailer.
Cannot wait for that.
Make sure it's the red band, though.
Yeah. But also don't show it to your kids.
Let's pivot. No,
It's not a kids' movie, just so you know. I know it's got puppets in it.
pivot back to Spielberg.
Yeah.
All right. So the big news this week, if there was one news story that really made waves, it is that Spielberg and Leo are in early talks to do a Ulysses S. Grant movie at Lionsgate. What? What do you think of this?
I have no interest in this whatsoever.
So, someone tweeted at me, I think it was a guy from Complex. He was like, I fell asleep just reading this headline. And it's true. What appetite does the public have for a Ulysses S. Grant movie? Now, I understand Lincoln. I understand Washington, but like, what?
Dry. So dry. If it was a version of the Ulysses 31 cartoon from the 80s, I would be psyched. But it's not.
I just love, Deadline has, this story a couple of weeks ago that's like, next is West Side Story and Indy 5, and then this comes out and like, this is becoming a priority. And meanwhile, he's table reading for the Bernstein thing. Like, I have a little bit of insight into Spielberg. And the guy likes to keep multiple balls juggling. I'm not calling him a liar, but not everything that he says is going to happen. We're still waiting on Peter Jackson's Tintin, okay? Right? Are we waiting? Nobody is waiting.
Nobody's
for
waiting
it.
on that.
So, it's not Spielberg saying this, so I understand it's tough being like the most famous director in the world because everyone's constantly asking about what you're working on and stuff. I'm sure this wasn't up to Steven Spielberg to have this leak out there. The idea of him directing a movie for Lionsgate blows my mind. That's the most shocking part of all this. Forget Leo playing Ulysses S. Grant. Spielberg directing a movie for Lionsgate? What? Am I crazy to think this? It's like waking up and seeing Christopher Nolan to direct a movie for CBS Films or somebody like that. Like, this is not going to happen, right? I mean, I guess it's the material, but does Lionsgate control some magical Ulysses S. Grant book? Where like, why couldn't he make this project at his home studio, Spielberg, with some other book or some other source material? I don't know. Well, it seems like another J. Edgar for Leo. What do you think?
I just have no interest in this project
That's
whatsoever.
it. You're just ready to move on from the item.
Just the whole thing. I mean, I read that. I was like, the movie, I'm not interested in it. I don't think it's going to happen.
I love one story was like, this will allow Spielberg to take another perspective on the Civil War, like, after Lincoln. I'm like, well, how many perspectives on the Civil War do we need from Steven Spielberg? Is this, I don't know what this is.
If I had an empty bag of fucks, I couldn't give less of them
This is
about this
something
project.
that, like, they're doing it to, like, get some momentum behind the project or allowing their names to, sign off
Just
on their
got
names.
no
being
interest
attached.
in this.
But eventually Spielberg and Leo will find another star.
Do you know what I want to see? I want to see Spielberg making more fun movies like Ready Player One. I want Spielberg movies that I want to see that are enjoyable, that are entertaining, that are fantasy movies. That's what I really want. Or something that is interesting or a good
Besides
drama.
Indy 5,
I don't care about... I don't even care that much about Indy 5, to be honest with you.
I don't care
I'll
about
go
it
and
at
see
all.
it.
He
I'll
should
probably
walk
enjoy
away
it.
from that.
It's like, that's just...
But Indy 5
noise.
is the only movie I would say right now that he is for sure going to direct. That's the only
100%.
one I'm...
100%.
All these other projects that you're reading about, fucking flip a coin, okay? Because that's the likelihood. I'm serious.
I don't think we'll Ulysses this in theaters anytime soon.
Was there anything else on Spielberg
That was
this
quite
week?
good,
Or was
by
that
the
the
way.
only thing?
I think that was the only one. Sorry, I'm wheezing today. Let's talk about something else.
All right.
Okay, 'cause
Let's talk about your fucking maze, dude.
my fucking maze.
We all know you're just dying to talk about it. So just
That's
bring it
further
up.
down
Get
the
it,
list.
Get it
but
over
I'll
with.
do it. Hey,
get it over with.
Did you hear about the second maze that's going to be at Halloween Horror Nights in Universal Hollywood and Universal
Simon,
Orlando?
what is it?
Trick or Treat.
That forgettable straight to VOD movie.
I think you mean that excellent straight to VOD movie.
Jesus Christ!
It's
Classic.
seriously, it is classic.
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 Oh
No,
my!
this is
no,
Wayne's World 2 all over
I'll
again.
Give you a cult,
Great.
I'll give you cult classic. I'll give you cult classic.
Oh yeah.
But man, that's it's a mediocre movie.
It's a great movie. It's very, very popular. People have been trying to
Inexplicably.
No, seriously, people have been asking for this maze at Halloween Horror Nights for a long, long time. John Murdy, the guy who basically is in charge of all this stuff, the creative director of Halloween Horror Nights, he's been trying to get Mike to do this movie for ages. This maze for ages. They were going to wait until there was a sequel. The sequel hasn't happened. So they were just like, fuck it. After 10 years of the movie being out, let's just do the maze. And people are really psyched. There was a trick-or-treat scare zone at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando last year that went down phenomenally well. Got great feedback from the people that attended that event. So I'm really glad to see this.
So
this year.
you reached out to people who went to a theme park in Orlando?
I have connections. Seriously, seriously,
great feedback.
People joke online. I think Ed was saying this week about, take a shot every time Simon mentions Halloween Horror Nights. Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, I have been going to, previously Orlando and now in Hollywood, for well over 20 years. And it's the highlight of my year. I love this event. I make no attempt to hide that. I fucking love it. I go a number of times. It's great. So I am psyched that this is going to be here.
All right.
I think it's going to be a really good maze. If you haven't seen Trick or Treat, check it out. And I don't mean the 80s movie with Alice Cooper in it about the guy listening to records backwards and summoning a dead demonic. Have you never seen that movie?
I don't know what you're talking about at this point.
Oh my God! You've never seen Trick or Treat, the 80s horror movie?
No.
You need to. It is awful. It is genius. I love it.
Genius and awful.
It's absolutely awesome. You should see it. Ozzy Osbourne plays a priest.
Kevin Hart joining Uptown Saturday Night. That was what? Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
This was going to be like a Denzel Will Smith vehicle at one point.
Yep.
Adam McKay is producing this with
Will Smith
Ferrell.
was attached at one point, wasn't he?
It's going to be interesting to see who Kevin Hart's co-star is. I've heard some names. I can't say who. But I like it. I like Kevin Hart doing this. I'm kind of glad that this movie is getting off the ground.
Yeah.
The original writer of this, of the original Richard Wesley was my faculty advisor at NYU. This was his big credit. Here's the question that I have regarding this item.
Okay.
Should Adam McKay direct this movie? He's not supposed to direct it right now. He's supposed to do Bad Blood, which just got a writer in Vanessa Taylor, who did The Shape of Water. She just got assigned to write that project. I think it's a Jennifer Lawrence project for Adam McKay to direct. But wouldn't you like to see McKay go back to doing a comedy like Uptown Saturday Night?
Why not? I'd be up for that.
Because he seems to have transitioned to this issue-driven filmmaker. The Big Short. He's doing the Chaney movie next. Bad Blood is supposed to be next after that.
Yep.
It's man, I'd like to see him go back to goofing around a little bit.
Yeah. No, me too.
So we just got two items done right there.
Yeah.
Vanessa Taylor and Kevin Hart. How about this one? Meryl Streep, Gary Oldman, and Antonio Banderas are going to do Steven Soderbergh's Panama Papers movie, The Laundromat, which is... I like the theory behind the title, but I think just seeing up on a marquee in a theater, The Laundromat. Hey, babe, want to go to the laundromat tonight?
I can see.
I don't think that's a good title.
I can see critics taking this to the cleaners.
Yeah. Another Papers movie for Meryl Streep.
Come on, that was good.
It was. No, I liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm not shaking that one off.
What I'm going to do now is every single time I make a really shit pun, is flag it up so I can get a little pat on the back.
Meryl Streep just did the Pentagon Papers. Now she's going to go do the Panama Papers. Meryl, who is advising you these days? What is going on?
I can imagine the scene. Let's go, hey, Meryl, we got a script for you. Oh, yeah. Has it got papers in the title? Yeah, I'm in.
She is
Mamma Mia 3.
I feel like they've been trying to get her for this project Circle of Treason, her and Angelina Jolie, which would be a formidable pairing. Streep and Jolie, that's two women who just go by their last names. You don't even need first names. But man, I just don't know. The Laundromat, Panama Papers. The idea of her doing a Soderbergh movie with Gary Oldman is really cool, but This just seems like familiar territory for
Yep.
her. Gary Oldman. Did you see that? Directing this, speaking of Gary Oldman, doing the Flying Horse movie?
No, what?
He's directing this movie, Flying Horse, that finally got backing or whatever.
Right.
I was tracking this project back during my Variety days. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
It's another passion project that no one will go see. I'm so curious when people tackle these obscure biopics, essentially. Do you don't know anything about
I
it?
know nothing about this.
Never mind. We'll move on.
I did see Gary Oldman having a pizza, though, in Hollywood the other week.
That is
I was
exciting.
having a beer with a friend, and in walks Gary Oldman.
What's next on your list?
Okay, let's talk about Zombieland 2.
We've got about 10 minutes left in the show.
Okay, let's rattle through a couple of things. We've got to do box office as well. Zombieland 2 looks like that is back on, with the original cast apparently returning
Thank
to
God.
come out in
Thank God,
2019.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Do you know what? I mean,
Emma Stone.
I really enjoyed Zombieland, but I'm happy with just Zombieland. I don't
This
think
is definitely not something that we need to go back to.
Well, it's going to be a TV show now. It's going to be a movie.
send
I
that
think
to
we're
VOD.
fine on that. It 2 casting this week. James Ransom is going to be Adult Eddie, and Andy Bean is going to play Stan. Not familiar with Andy Bean, but James Ransom. He's been in a number of movies over the last couple of years, including
Ransom.
Sinister and Sinister 2. I really like.
I love
James.
this guy.
I think he's great.
He
so
is
cool.
great. He was in Tangerine.
Yeah, he was in Tangerine. I forgot about that.
He's in The
Yeah.
Wire. I've been a big James Ransone fan for a long time, and I think he was perfect casting as Eddie. He's so perfect. I wish that I had thought of him on my own.
Yeah, he's really good.
Andy Bean, never heard of the guy. It's just funny, like all like the big like wish list castings fans had. Like,
Nope.
Andy Bean was not on any of those lists.
No.
That's okay.
He was
though.
on Andy Bean's list.
That's okay. Good for him. He's
Yeah.
he's an up and comer. He's one to watch.
The well-known Stephen King novella, The Gingerbread
He
Girl.
may get killed off early. I don't know what the deal
We'll
is there.
find out. Spoilers.
I didn't read the book. all of it
Gingerbread.
anyways.
It'll be interesting to see actually how close
Gingerbread
they
Girl,
keep
Stephen
it to the
King
book.
novella. Well, who's making it?
Yeah, he's going to be co-writing.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either. So I think they're literally going through every single book now that Stephen King has written, either as Bachman or
Hey,
as
it's
King,
worked.
and remaking it. But do you know the one I'd love to see them do a modern take on?
What?
The Running Man. Which
Yeah.
is
Modern day Running Man. It's a
love
good
the
call.
original. I love the original, but with the success of movies like the Purge franchise, I think to do a new Running Man would be fucking genius.
Simon, we should open up a production company.
We should do.
Yeah.
That went well.
How about that Willow sequel? We could produce a
Hey,
Willow sequel.
how about that?
That could
Yeah.
happen, guys.
Ron-
That could totally happen. That's happening. That could happen. Don't you know it's happening? And don't you? It could happen.
Ron Howard has said that it could happen. It's not going to happen. I love Willow. I went to see it in the movie theaters when I was a kid. I was pretty much on my own. I like that movie.
Leave that shit in the 80s.
Leave that. Val Kilmer's available though. Val Kilmer's available.
Oh, Jesus.
And when we know that Warwick Davis would do it because he loves that movie, and Warwick Davis is one of the hardest working actors in Hollywood and will pretty much do most things that are presented to him. So if they wanted to get them together, they would
It's like
do
a
it.
compliment and then a jab right after
Well,
each
no,
other
it's
against
true. I
Warwick
mean,
Davis.
he works insanely hard, and pretty much everything that gets presented to him, he does do. I think he would be up for this. Val Kilmer's available. I just don't know if we need it or if the audience would really want it. I think it's one of those nostalgia thing. Nostalgia. But yeah,
What'd you think of the Black Klansman trailer this week?
I fucking love that.
I mean, I think
It's
it looks
a good
really
week
cool.
for trailers this week. Let's talk about that very quickly. So we talked about Happy Time Murders. Black KK Klansman.
Black
Klansman looks genius. I was a little bit nervous about that, but I genuinely really enjoyed that. The house that Jack built.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I am not generally a fan of this director. Generally, I either can't finish his movies, or when I do, I'm not that impressed with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really intrigued by the house that Jack built. I'm interested to see it. Although,
can't wait.
I was very... this really pisses me off about the industry. People who write and they have no idea what they're doing. The amount of people that initially wrote that this was a comeback for Matt Damon.
Really?
I saw
didn't see
so
that
many
once.
sites.
See, I think you and I read
And then
very
they
different
corrected
sites,
it.
my friend. I don't know why you'd even read sites that would make that kind of mistake. So,
I don't seek them out. I just...
but you must
See
follow them. I don't know.
on Twitter.
You got to do a culling. You got to refine those
I
sources.
think the industry needs a culling.
The house that Jack built, though, man, lots of walkouts. Who?
But his stuff is always controversial.
I just like how do
I
you walk
know
out
what
of this
people
movie?
were
Don't you know what you're
expecting.
getting into? Exactly. This looks like my kind of movie. Did you read the review over at the playlist?
Yeah.
It was strongly worded, to say the least. Yeah.
Also, Mile 22, a new Wahlberg movie. It looks like I'm actually going to really enjoy that because I do love an action movie. My only problem with the trailer is that basically it appears to lay out the entire narrative of the movie. I'm sure there's a twist in there somewhere.
It gives a lot away.
It gives a lot away.
It was so great to see Iko Uwais finally break out from the Raid movies because, man, this guy has been waiting for his close-up in Hollywood for a long fucking time.
And
wait, we didn't even finish talking about Black Klansman, though. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
I've heard it's good. I've heard it's a movie to admire and respect more than really fall in love with. I was very surprised by the comedic tone.
I was very surprised by that.
I was really expecting like a dark thriller when I was reading about this film in pre-production, and to see some of the tone and knowing how serious the ending is. It's going to end with like footage of Charlottesville, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how this works tone-wise.
Yeah.
But people are saying it's a comeback for Spike Lee. I hope it is. I like John David Washington too.
Yeah. No, I wasn't that. I was kind of expecting something darker. And something a bit more serious, but I genuinely like the tone of the trailer. I'm looking forward to that.
Did you see the teaser for Beautiful Boy?
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that's floating around there. We're going to get a trailer really soon. When I first reported the Steve Carell thing, I had Will Poulter in that story, and it was because no one was really calling back.
Yeah.
And I knew that the Carell part was right, so, why not trust the source and run Poulter? And it turned out, I got a call the next day, maybe, and it was like, actually, I think that they're going in a different direction. I think they went in the right direction with Timmy Chalamet, who has a very bright future, big things coming for him. Will Poulter just already looks a little hard. You know what I mean? And Beautiful Boy is about a really innocent-looking kid who's just like destroyed by drugs.
Yeah.
So I think that they made the right call in that instance, and I look forward to that one.
Let's talk about Bohemian Rhapsody as well. This trailer dropped this week.
Jeez, a lot of controversy around that one.
But I really like the look of this. I've
heard it's really good.
It's another movie that I was a little bit nervous about. I have also heard very good things about it.
Dude, invest in Queen's catalog. Whoever owns that, I don't know if it's BMI or whoever the fuck it is. Invest in that record company because the Queen sales after that movie are going to skyrocket.
Huge. I genuinely, I'm really, really looking forward to that movie now. It looks like it could be great. Rami Malek is just awesome.
I've heard he's really good.
Absolutely awesome.
We'll see if he ends up a Best Actor contender later this year.
Potentially, we'll see.
I wonder if they'll consider that a musical for the Golden Globes.
Potentially.
I don't know.
They considered The Martian a comedy.
Couple of Vin Diesel bits here. Vin Diesel starring in an STX action comedy, Muscle. We don't really know anything about it.
Yep.
But action and comedy, who do you think of first? Vin Diesel,
Obviously,
of course.
after the pacifier.
And speaking of Vin Diesel, Fast and Furious 9 gets a writer, Dan Casey, on the strength of his superhero script, The Heavy, which is being produced by J.J. Abrams.
First new writer for the franchise since 2006.
I met Dan Casey when I first got out here. Good guy, and man, he's paid his dues and really come up in the biz over these last 10 years.
Yeah.
So this is actually going to be the first Fast and Furious movie, is it ever? That won't be written by Chris Morgan?
Since 2006.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't think he wrote the first one. Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Booking a lead in Quentin Tarantino's new movie.
I did not see that.
Yeah, dude. Had to negotiate his schedule with Santa Clarita Diet, which would have been hilarious if that Netflix show had precluded him from doing a fucking Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
I have always liked this guy.
Good.
And he was in a movie that you slagged last week, The Girl Next Door. That's where I first saw Timothy Olyphant.
It's not a great movie.
Actually, maybe it was that and Go. Go was actually before that.
Yeah.
But I think he has a really good look. He's a good-looking older guy.
Did not like Girl Next Door.
I never watched like Deadwood, which is obviously like his big thing. And like, was it Justified? Yeah. He has like these big TV shows I haven't really seen, but I do watch Santa Clarita Diet. Anyways, I think he could be a cool piece of the puzzle in the new Tarantino movie.
Certainly open to that.
What's next on yours?
Okay, a couple of quick things. Gambit apparently is due to begin production this summer, but it doesn't have a director. I'm putting a no next to that one.
That's always a good sign. We're going into production. We'll have a director soon.
Black Panther out on home entertainment now. Ryan Coogler again saying he would like an all-female Black Panther spin-off. Well,
good for him. I'm glad he'd like that.
Sure, I don't know whether that'll happen, but I mean, I would like that too.
We'd
Also,
all like it.
Sad loss this week of Margot Kidder.
Yeah.
who died.
Yep.
69, obviously, perhaps best known for the
Lois Lane.
Superman movies. But I mean, if you haven't seen Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas, check that out, because I fell in love with her when I saw that horror movie in a completely different way to how I fell in love with her for the Superman movies.
All right, give us box office, and then I'm going to do bits and bobs, and we're going to get out of here.
Okay, so Deadpool 2 is probably the biggest movie this week by some margin. Previews last night, 18.6 million, which is a record breaker for an R-rated movie. That beats It, which was the previous R-rated 13.5. If you want to compare it to how Deadpool did, that was about 12 million, so this is 6 million more. Deadpool 2 is looking at 138 million this weekend. I think it could top that. I think it's looking at more 140, 145. Deadpool opened on 132.4.
This could open to 150, I think.
Yeah, I think it could potentially do that. Book Club, I'm being a little bit cautious with that. Book Club took 625,000 on previews last night, looking at a weekend of 12 million. I'll be honest with you, Book Club is one of the most satisfying movies that I've seen this year.
I've heard it's really good.
It's
Everyone
really,
who sees
really
this movie
good.
likes it. It's good.
Do not discount this as being aimed at older women. It's really funny. It's very satisfying. The cast do an excellent job. The writing is fucking superb. Seriously.
The Ringer wrote an interesting story
It's
about how
really
there's
good.
no counter programming anymore, and how it's basically impossible to counter program against some of these huge movies. And while I generally agree with that thesis, like, you know, about around Avengers, like nothing came out around Avengers or the week after, like it had the calendar clear to itself. I think Book Club is actually a shrewd move of counter programming. No older audiences are interested in fucking Deadpool 2.
No.
I hope it does well. I hope it has legs this summer.
Book Club was genuinely, it was a really big surprise to me. I really liked it. It's genuinely worth checking out. It's a really, really good comedy. As I say, the writing is absolutely spot on.
Yeah, did you meet them? Bill and Aaron?
Yeah, I did.
They're
I
the
interviewed
best.
them.
I
They're
love them.
superb. And the thing is that even though this is being released by Paramount, this was an indie movie that they shot themselves, and then Paramount bought it. This is not a studio romantic comedy. It's an indie movie that is getting a studio platform. Do not underestimate Book Club. It's one of my favorite films of the year so far. I loved it. Seriously, you really should. It's worth checking out.
Anything else notable at the box office? Are we good?
Just looking at Deadpool 2 is going to be number 1. Avengers Infinity War number 2, 29.2 million. Then it's going to be Book Club number 3.
29.2. You're really getting down there with the decimal. Thanks for that.
It's okay. Life of the Party, which you saw this week. I was not a fan of that, and I'm a Melissa McCarthy fan, and even like
I
the stuff
actually
she
laughed
does
a pretty fair amount.
Ben.
I thought that the girl from SNL, Heidi Gardner, I thought she was fucking hilarious as the roommate. But once Christina Aguilera, as soon as I heard Christina Aguilera's name come up, I knew what direction this was going, and it wasn't a good one.
It could have been way better. Breaking In, another movie worth checking out. Breaking In is a really good home invasion movie. That's going to round out the top 5.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm not talking about Dog Show, because I think that looks like one of the worst fucking things ever.
All right, bits and bobs.
Okay,
we'll
bits
get
and
out of here.
bobs.
Warner Brothers won the auction for In the Heights. John didn't come as a surprise, since John Chu is directing Crazy Rich Asians for the studio. So he went back to them. They gave him some points, I think. Netflix picked up Flash Boys, that Michael Lewis book. They also got an animated movie for $30 million at Cannes. That was their big splash. It was a week festival for Netflix, and Universal got that $355 movie at Cannes. Elizabeth Moss and Michael Stuhlbarg starring in the thriller Shirley, about Shirley Jackson. Excuse me. Kenya Barris doing an autobiographical divorce movie at Fox. CBS Films got Willem Dafoe's Van Gogh movie, which strikes me as an odd fit. A24 picked up Climax, which strikes me as a great fit.
Coming soon.
The Gaspar No movie. Noe. I think people seem to like that at Cannes. Climax. They like the dance troupe. Yeah. Hell no. Speaking of Cannes, though, I honestly did not see much substantive reporting coming out of Cannes. It seemed like a huge waste of money at this point for outlets to send people there. Yeah. You get to review a handful of films early, but not many people are really going to see these movies. Like, how many people are going to go see The House That Jack Built, honestly? Man, that festival could be in trouble. It's lost some of its luster. 2 writers were hired for Cowboy Ninja Viking, as I had said earlier. Interesting that they liked both takes that these guys had and just said, hey, can you work together? John 3 is dropping in mid-May next year. I think that's its biggest release date yet.
Yep.
You know, that's right in the middle of summer with the big boys, so they're treating it like a major tentpole.
JW.
Lost Girls, which is based on an amazing true crime book about the Craigslist prostitute killer. Moved from Amazon to Netflix. Amy Ryan in for Sarah Paulson. There's going to be an Alfred Pennyworth TV show on Epix, which seems like it's really diluting the DC brand at this point. How many fucking TV shows about all these characters do we need, particularly on cable channels nobody's familiar with?
No interest in that.
The Firpo brothers are doing the Eternals for Marvel.
Yeah.
That was like a big thing. Like, it seems like the Eternals is actually really in development over there.
I know nothing about that.
Yeah, neither do I.
I know it's happening,
I didn't
but
know anything about Guardians of the Galaxy, so I'm not going to talk shit about this, but this is another property that's like, what, who, why? The Firpo brothers obviously did that Project Ruin that has Gal Gadot attached. I'd heard that they really wanted Christian Bale for that, but I know he just did another really violent movie in Hostels. Blumhouse doing Once Upon a Time in Staten Island with the director of The Purge. That's with Frank Grillo and Naomi Watts, Bobby Cannavale, and it has a weird plot that's tied to Rocky 3. Like Rocky 3 comes out the summer that the story takes place. It's interesting. Guillermo del Toro doing a horror anthology at Netflix called 10 After Midnight.
Yep.
This should really be trading cycles with Black Mirror. You have Black Mirror come out, and then 6 months later, while the next season is shooting, you have this come out.
Yep.
Evan Spiliotopoulos, who I know and have had
easy
lunch
for you
with,
to say.
He's a good guy. He is writing the Snake Eyes movie for Paramount.
Nice.
Jennifer Aniston.
Snake Eyes, is that a remake of the Nick Cage movie?
No, it is not. It is the G.I. Joe spinoff.
Right.
Jennifer Aniston and Tig Notaro starring in First Ladies about a lesbian president and the first wife. It's kind of interesting. Jennifer Aniston has this. She has Murder Mystery as well. She's really becoming the female equivalent of Adam Sandler over at Netflix.
I can just see people losing their shit over that.
Oh, yeah.
A lesbian?
I don't know.
What?
It's an interesting premise.
I think it's an interesting premise.
And yeah, finally, a happy birthday to former host of Meet the Movie Press, Mark Riley.
Yeah.
Mark Riley over
I did not know
at
it's his
Collider now.
birthday. What did you get him?
Happy birthday. I didn't get him jack shit. Fuck you, Riley.
So not that happy of a birthday.
That'll do it, I think, for the news. Anything else?
One thing. Don Draper was saying that his mum will appreciate my review of Book Club. Can I just say, if you are taking your mothers to this, there's a lot of jokes about dicks and vaginas and sex and boners in this. So it is not exactly a mom movie.
Could be awkward to sit next to her for
Just
it.
Just warning you, there's a lot of talk about pussies and
Hey, your
stuff
mom has
that's
a
wet
pussy. She knows about dicks, and she
but
has a kid.
Just
so.
saying, if you think it's going to be a Hallmark movie, it is not a Hallmark movie.
All right.
But enjoy it. It's a great movie.
Simon.
Yeah.
Where can the good folks find you?
You can find me at Showbiz Simon on Instagram and Twitter, and my work on the likes of Forbes and
Anything
Reuters
to plug?
and
Anything
E!
exciting?
News. I did a great interview with, although I say so myself, with Martin Cove, who was obviously played Kreese in Karate Kid, and he's back in Cobra Kai. That's done really, really well this week, and I got an interesting interview
second
with,
season.
and here's something I thought I'd never say, with Ashley Tisdale about her production company, which is going up next week, and a couple of other really interesting interviews, including Alex Garland next week.
Wonderful. That sounds exciting.
Just saying.
I am Jeff Snider at the Insnider on Twitter.
Where can we find you, Jeffrey?
At the Insnider.
Okay.
Thank you for watching the Popcorn Talk Network.
Are you here next week?
Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe. I don't think I'm here that next week. I'm pretty sure I'm back in Boston for my brother's wedding.
Selfish.
Send them your mazel tovs and congratulations.
I will do.
And I will return soon. See you in
Jinx.
June. Bye.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.